Hey everybody, welcome to my second attempt at offering art for breakfast. Yesterday I gave it a try and it was about noon Central Time that I got going, but it's my feeble attempt to get back into a routine before my boys start heading back to school and to help you get to know me a little bit better. Um, I was talking to my husband last night about the art business and all the frustrations that go along with it. And one thing he told me that resonated with me was that he told me, you may in your mind think, well, I've been doing art my whole life and this is I've been working at it for years and everything and take why is it taking so long to catch on? But in many of your minds, you guys are just getting to know me as an artist. And even if you've known me for the last 10 years, it's only been a couple of years since I came out, so to speak. Um, Being an artist is something that I used to kind of not really embrace. I didn't want to come off as sounding like, I always thought I would sound like I'm full of myself by saying, yeah, I'm an artist, I'm special. But um, it's taken me most of my life to just embrace who I am and to be open about it and not worry about what other people think when I do open myself up about it. So, um, I don't know. I thought maybe I could do some of these art for breakfast sessions here and just kind of help you get to know me as an art person. Many of you know me as a florist or a gardener or a horticulturist because of my schooling background, and the last 20 years of my professional career have been in the horticultural sector of in some way, shape, or form, whether it be you met me at the farmers market when we sold cut flowers, or you met me at Vanderveer when I worked there, or you met me at Chicago Botanic Garden when I worked there. But really, my whole life, since high school and college, I have been creating art and turning art into prints. And when I say since college and high school, not to brag, but sometimes it's kind of a hindrance. Many of you people think that I'm younger than I actually am, but I'm actually, crap, I forget. I, I literally had a forgetful moment. I couldn't decide, am I 43 or 44? Oh my gosh, my face is getting red. So I really was embarrassed. Um, yeah, I am 44. So it's been, I don't know, I suck at math. What, 25 years since high school. And one of the first prints I created was of a piece that I made when I was a junior or senior in high school. And the first person who purchased it was my uncle, my dad's brother, Butch. I couldn't believe it. He paid me $50 for an art print that I from my own artwork, and it was the coolest feeling ever. And I'll never forget him for that. Um, and geez, I almost got a little emotional there. um, yeah, so anyway, I have been doing this art thing for a long time. It's just only now, like in the last year, that I've been getting really serious about it. And that's me. So let's get into I don't know, I was going to talk a little bit about the artwork behind me and some of the things that I've been working on lately. Um, the piece that you see, the big piece that you see behind me, oops, wrong side. This one here is one that, let's see if I can, there we go. Now you can, now I look like I'm way down low here. But it's one that I did at my church, St. Paul Lutheran Church in Davenport. And there goes Gertie. She sees a rabbit. Um, Pastor Sarah Olson Smith, she invited me to help guide a gathering thing where people brought their own art supplies and we gathered on the north lawn. Everybody sat on their own blanket and stayed 6 feet apart in their own areas. And I kind of led the discussion to help give people prompts or different ideas on how to just, it's a way of relaxing and being in the moment. It forces you to be in the moment when you paint outside and you absorb your surroundings. It's a totally different way of creating than when you're just going off of a photograph. So this piece behind me is purely experimental. And if you watched yesterday's video, I had a different piece in the same frame. It's an old frame and I use it to tack up. It just happens to fit this sketchbook paper. It's a I think that's an 18 by 24 inch size sketchbook paper. So it's a perfect size to just tack up the paper in there, and then I can walk away from my painting and look at it from 10, 15, 20 feet away and see if it does anything for me and see if I like this experimental style. And just looking at it behind me, like looking at my computer screen, I can see so many things that are wrong with it, but I also see a lot of things that I like about it. So I learn as I go, just like everybody else, and I experiment with the colors and different brush strokes and things. And yeah, so initially that painting started out as just, when you're the teacher, at least for me, that was it's really hard to really be technical and stuff when you're painting on the spot. First off, it was painting on the spot and it was meant to be a relaxing thing. And I initially started just using watercolors and um, I did a color gradient based on the colors in the sky and the colors of the church. We were sitting in the north lawn and I was facing um, the building on one side of the building. Um, so it's purely experimental. And then I went back home afterwards and worked on it a little more and thought, what the heck? I'm going to see what happens when I add acrylic paint over the top of the watercolors that I just saturated the canvas with. And it keeps changing and evolving, and this is where it's at right now. And initially it was supposed to be totally abstract, but again, my tendency is to go back towards realism. So it's a really hard give and take thing to work on. So that's where that is right now. Um, but it was a beautiful night, and even if that painting, this one, never becomes anything, the takeaway from it is that I was in the moment with in community with other people, enjoying the weather, feeling the outside breeze brush across my shoulders, absorbing my surroundings instead of just being at home staring at the walls. And it is so good for the soul. It's so good for your mental well-being and just a good experience all around. It's a total sensory experience. Plein air painting, which is that's what that style of painting is called when you're painting outside, is definitely a sensory experience. I've seen videos of other artists painting in like 60-mile-per-hour winds before. Now that's a little bit extreme for me. I like the nice weather. I like to stay close to home. I've seen people like up on a mountain painting and the wind comes up and they're like, I'm gonna do this. So it's almost like a sport to some people. It's like a sport to me in some ways, especially when I do competitions, which I haven't done many of those this summer, sadly. But anyway, that's where that painting is coming from. And then the painting over here I chose because it's kind of in the same color family as the churches over here, like the gold colors and the yellows and oranges. I feel like they are really complementary to this painting over here. So, and I hope you noticed I coordinated my outfit again. So, you're welcome. Um, but this painting is another experimental piece where, again, I used some painter's tape and tacked it onto the glass to help me visualize what kind of frame and how I would display it. So that's a good tip for you if you're just kind of getting started with your painting and art practice. It's really helpful to help visualize and just kind of see it from a different perspective versus when it's just in your sketchbook. But this is a watercolor. The background is watercolor. And this is another one I was discussing yesterday how I've really been trying to work on having better composition in some of my artworks. And in this piece, I started out with blobs of color, of watercolor. Like, I made a bouquet. These are all flowers from my garden, first off. I had just purchased some new yellow flowers to put around my blue bird bath, and I stole some out of my garden and made a bouquet with it. And so these were gathered in this area. So first I started off by using the lightest color in that section, which was like a really pale yellow, and I made a yellow triangle. Can you see the triangle? And then I tried to use this angle here of this line of the triangle to lay out this stem and also the top of this flower and also the bottom of this triangle blob lines up with the bottom of this flower. I think this kind of lines up with this purple flower. And this side of the triangle is parallel with this salvia. So if you start looking more closely, you'll see that this triangle is the focal point of the painting, and I based all of the other angles in that painting off of the angles and lines within this triangular cluster of flowers. And I worked really hard at that. And I think it paid off because when I look at this painting, it makes me happy. I feel a sense of calm because it's like it goes or it feels right. This painting, Not so much because I did it on the spot and then I don't know, I didn't have a good foundation. I didn't start with a great foundation. It was kind of more painting on the fly and then I tried to make it work afterwards. So I guess the takeaway for today is when you look at something that you want to create or paint, try to look at the basic shapes that you see. Think about what your focal point is within your drawing and look at that focal point, figure out what shape is that focal point, make a blob of color based on that focal point's shape, and then try to make all of the other elements of your painting follow those lines, either parallel or, you know, working within those lines of that basic shape from your focal point. It's not easy to do and it's not easy to be consistent about it because sometimes you just get caught up in the moment and you just want to slap that paint down and have fun, which is okay. It's just a different way of doing things. So have fun and see what happens. And no matter what happens, you'll always learn something from your art. You'll learn something or you'll have a really good memory because you were doing the art and you were in the moment, in a moment, and it'll help seal in that memory. So hope you enjoyed my second edition of Art for Breakfast. I don't know how consistent I will be at doing this, but if it works, it works one day. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I have learned many times that once I say, oh yeah, I'm going to do that every single day, there's always something that happens or something comes up and then I feel I beat myself up about it. So I'm just going to enjoy the fact that we got it done today. And if we get it done tomorrow, we'll celebrate tomorrow. So in the meantime, if you have any questions about my work or how to navigate my website or any of the pieces that I have available on there, please feel free to send me a direct message. Or if you have questions related to art, direct message them to me. And then maybe I'll answer them the next time I go live. That could be fun too. So, all right, everybody, have a great day and we'll talk again soon.